Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I'm Liam.
Okay, please meet
Me, man.
Today we're going to go and buy some local bicycles from somewhere. We've had some problems with mine, particularly that I crashed mine yesterday and completely destroyed it.
I'm in town here to check on the bikes. Want to have one or two for my friends here.
We have to cycle from here to Mount Kilimanjaro,
Mount Kilimanjaro
and we have to do it in 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. That's not possible.
Yeah, so we need to. You don't think it's possible on one of these bikes?
That's not possible. In 2 weeks, Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania.
Yeah.
That's not possible.
How was it?
It's fine for like 2 seconds, but for like 2 weeks every day, I don't know. Just takes a bit of getting used to as well, the whole wobbly wheel.
We strip the weight off. We've got 300k of flat to get used to the bike before we start climbing into the mountains.
So, how the bikes do so far?
We've looked at 4 different bikes. Every single one of them weighs about 4 or 5 times what my bike does now. We've asked about 8 people whether they think we could get to Tanzania, Kilimanjaro in 2 weeks. So far, one of them has said yes, and he was a bicycle salesman. Decided to buy some Hunters, 2 of the same bike, because they're the lightest ones we've found at like a reasonable 95 kilos or whatever. I'm beginning to dread the next couple of weeks. Once we bought the bikes, they come completely like disassembled, nothing working. We have to take it to a fixer, this gentleman here, put it all together, and we're just going to get him to shed as much weight as possible. About three weeks ago, started to get ill in Lusaka in Zambia. Went to doctors, gave him some pills. Seemed to work for a few days. A few days after that, same symptoms came back. Went to doctors in Lilongwe, Malawi. Doctor gave me some pills, different pills. And they seemed to work for a little bit, and then last night all the symptoms came back. I have been getting really high temperature, 40 degrees sometimes, over 40 degrees. Headache, sweat, shivering, hallucinations. Last night was fun. And explosive diarrhea. Blood. I've spoken to the doctor, managed to get in to see him quick. He says malaria and amoebic dysentery, which doesn't sound pleasant. It's the 3 weeks thing, like 3 weeks of anal bleeding isn't great, and the fact that I just had like a little head spin and collapse a minute ago. The tests they can do here, but it would mean waiting about 7 hours just for the tests, let alone. He like started asking for bribery to put me to the top of the queue, but I'm sorry, man. He was like stepping over children to get to there, man. It's fucking horrible. We've been on the shores of Lake Malawi now for about 8-9 days. I had to recover from typhoid, the classic Victorian disease I managed to pick up somewhere in Zimbabwe, and Sam had to recover from his internal sepsis, as yet undiagnosed, that knocked him out pretty much back flat on his back for a few days. We've got 1,400 kilometers to go to get to Mount Kilimanjaro, and because I've been ill and Sam's been ill, it's going to be incredibly tight. The first day out of here is 50k uphill, and only about 6-8 hour ride on a normal bike, and not on our lovely Malawi bikes. Cycling is a bad idea most days, but especially today now that I'm in the lake, because it's really nice here. Finally leaving Lake Malawi. Don't really want to leave. It's really nice, relaxing. There's lots of water, so it's really appropriate for this documentary. And now we're going to start cycling on bikes not built really for cycling. I don't know what they're built for.
Why? I could barely get the I was like determined not to get off the bike, but I could barely move it.
About 250k to get to the border with Tanzania, so I hope to do that today, tomorrow, and then strike out through Tanzania as much as possible. I've been told it's very warm in Tanzania, so I think we're going to have a few problems.
Riding this bike, kind of like being a king for a minute, downhill, and then dying on the uphill. Pretty awesome though. You can't go very fast, so you don't want to.
We're almost at the end of Malawi. Just climbing up to the mountains before we descend back down to Lake Malawi and up to the border to Zambia. The new bikes have actually been amazing. I'm only on the second day of riding them.
So how's that for you?
Well, it was quite hilly. This bike has got no gears. That was quite hard. Especially when it gets corrugated. Glad we warmed up before that. Come on, bang, 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 faster, 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 faster. Go.
For over 1500 years, the coasts of southern Africa have been exploited by outside agencies for profit. One of the easiest ways was through fishing. These days, the fishing rights for the coasts of southern Africa aren't held by the local countries, but by international organisations and in part the European Union. The inland lakes of Africa, including Lake Malawi where we are now, are some of the few remaining places where families can still make a livelihood from fishing. Each one of these boats will represent a family. And it's not a family making profit, but a family making a living. There are probably 500 or 600 canoes on this one beach, and all of them together couldn't match the output of a single fishing trawler. That's the state of local fishing. Do you fish? Do you fish in one of these?
Yes.
In a canoe? So how many kilos of fish do you take in a day?
Maybe,
Kilos?
maybe more than 20.
20 kilos a day? Wow, with a net?
Isn't it?
Nice.
We're in North Tanzania at the moment, but we've had to drive to North Tanzania from South Tanzania to meet a deadline that we had. So Liam's girlfriend came to meet us, but we had fallen quite far behind schedule because of illness, because of bike issues, etc. So we wouldn't have been able to meet her in time if we'd cycled here, so we had to drive. And so that we're not deceiving or skipping out bits, we have to drive back to where we left off, which is basically the whole of this country, which is a massive country, and cycle it again. I guess the way I expected Africa to be, just because I had no knowledge of it, and that's mainly why I wanted to come on this trip, that I didn't really know much about it, and I kind of thought I should. It's different in so many ways, you can't really condense it that much, but I guess I didn't expect it to be as developed as it is. I think it'd be impossible for a trip like this to go as planned. Like 6 months in Africa, like doing all this crazy shit, like there's always going to be unexpected things that come up. Yeah, it's definitely not gone as planned at all.
2 days after our last video, Sam got ill and I fell ill again. It turns out I had typhoid. That was a few weeks ago. It's taken us some time to pull it all back together. And tomorrow we're setting off from Mbeya in southern Tanzania, heading 950 k's north to our first longboard walk project in Tanzania, got 950 Ks to do in 9 days to make it in time. We've got 6 weeks left. It's time for the final push.
So we're just in this random town in Tanzania getting our bikes fixed up again. We've just had to come from a long car journey. The bikes are strapped to the back and we suffered some injuries, bits have fallen off. My tyre kind of melted off because it was next to the exhaust pipe. So we're just getting them fixed here.
Malawi bikes are amazing, but they are falling apart every 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Is that far? We're going to set off now from Mbeya, 950k to go on mainly dirt roads that have been washed out.
Is it hurt going uphill?
Yep, hurts a lot. Hurts a lot going uphill.
Today's been a pretty awful day. Bike broke again within about 3 kilometers, and then the first town I could find to fix the bike, I went in, really friendly mechanic, started fixing the bike, but then within 15 minutes a bunch of guys came over, started picking arguments, started picking fights, started picking up bike tools, motorbike tools, started waving them around, and one local drunk managed to get me out of there before it got really bad. It seemed to be a problem that I would be paying someone in the village to do something, but not everybody. So all I could hear was the amount of money. Why is he spending money with him and not with us? Not the welcome we've had in other places at all. It's really fucking scary.
First time we drove through, I don't know what it was, whether it was like a rock or a catapult, but somebody put the back window through.
You're kidding?
Fucking hell. Well, it started off about that small.
Yeah.
And it's just all shook out, yeah.
Right, the first town.
Yeah, the first little town we went through.
We're on our way back from Bandit Country. Another detour on the trip, but this is Tanzania.
Cycling today, 110 is the target. Whether that happens is a very different story.
Looking forward to today?
Yeah, it's going to be good, I think. I think it'll be a long day. I haven't done this distance before, but I can try.
Be the longest day we've ever done, right?
Yeah, well, only by a few K.
By 5 to 10.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I can't fit a bike, can't fit my seat until I get another bolt, and I'm not riding stood up for 135k.
So you're just going to ride on that back bit?
I'm just going to ride on there, low rider style, and see how long I can go for.
Isn't it cool? How far have you got to go on that?
135. Hold on. It's 20 past 12, about to come to the highest part of the day, and we haven't done half yet. 71 kilometers to go.
How many K have you done today?
132. Yeah, 132k today on that bike. I'm pretty happy with that. Today we're leaving Dodoma, capital of Tanzania, and we've got 430k to do in the next 4 days. It's going to be pretty hard because today's quite a short day. I have to do filming here. So basically in 3.5 days, we've got to do 430. We've never done that before on these bikes. About 4 kilometers out of the capital of Tanzania, the road is turning into a sand pit again, full of lovely bumps. It's amazing how quickly it happens. And this is the capital of Tanzania. 4 kilometers out, we could be back in the middle of Malawi or anywhere.
Liam's birthday, we're going to have a celebration. It's going to be very fun.
So how do you feel about reaching Arusha on your 30th birthday?
I always imagined as a child that when I grew old, haggard, unable to do exercise without falling apart, and able to live a week without catching a tropical disease. I would spend my dying days in northern Tanzania.